Hello everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Welcome to WYR Reforging. This is my weekly show where basically we just kind of hang out and we're going to talk about news in the industry for Games Workshop, Fantasy Flight Games, that kind of stuff, as well as talk about hobby progress and things like that. And so this is more of an informal show I try to do every single Friday about this time. So if this is your first time, welcome. Grab out your paintbrushes and we're just going to hang out and chat. And so basically, the way the show works is I have different sections, hobby progress, games played, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to leave a gap of time in between where I open it up for questions, comments, and that's, when I'll go back to the chat and make sure I didn't miss anything rather than, interrupting my thoughts and taking an hour to say something very simple. So when I invite you to give comments and that kind of stuff, just do it because people are nice and very encouraging when it comes to supporting each other's hobby progress in the chat. I have an awesome community and I can't thank y'all enough. So let's get into it. So what's been going on in the world of Doug? Well, the truth is, not a whole lot because, it's one of those things like you're taking Christmas decorations down, just boring adult stuff, to be honest with you. So let's go straight into hobby progress here. Now, as you can see down below, oh, thank you so much, Spetya. I'm working on a whole bunch of Star Wars. I have an interesting journey on this one, actually, and something that might be relevant for folks who have a faction for any game. Essentially, I got into Star Wars Legion because there is a game store that is awesome nearby where they take, I feel like, precautions pretty well as far as COVID goes. It's a great group of gentlemen. They're older, they're not, quite frankly, whiny, like the communities in many stores. But they're just awesome people, really nice, and I want to be a part of it. And I like Star Wars. I don't have I don't love it as much as Age of Sigmar, but I do like it. And so I went ahead and bought in, and I bought in with the droids, okay, like the Separatists from the episodes 1, 2, 3. And I had played a demo game with somebody's Rebels, I think. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I built and I painted up this really great looking droid army. This is kind of bleed into games played just a smidge, but I took it out there and played my first game with my droids and realized I did not like them. Basically what happened was, I had the kits that I bought from the starter set and, looking at stuff online of like how this army functions, not like, trying to be game breaky or make a tournament list or anything like that, but just what are the synergies and that kind of stuff. Basically, it's a horde army, and I did not know that. And that was a bit of a bummer. And I actually spent most of the week being like, I should probably trade these out for something that I actually want. I like the game. I like my local group. I just didn't care for the army. But then one of the locals saw my post on the Star Wars Legion Facebook page and was like, hey, I can help you make a non-horde list. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing. I've just been, it's like, well, I already have the army. I might as well, double up so I can get some options and play the game that I want to play. So rather than selling them, I am holding on to them. I know, shocker for Doug. Essentially, this has pretty much been my hobby progress. I did do a demo model of Clone Trooper for someone, but I don't see myself playing clones. I'm just not a fan of the way they work. But yeah, so for these guys, I bought, there was a set of droidicas. I already have them from the starter set. We have the zoomy little Stap Riders, which are awesome. Do you guys remember that old school, what is it? It was a Star Wars game back when like Phantom Menace came out, and it was like Twisted Metal almost, where it's just vehicles all trying to shoot each other. My brother and I spent a summer trying to beat the game with every single character option, and the Stap was the hardest because if he gets breathed on, he insta dies. And the most fun one was the actual the tank for the Separatists as well, that big honking thing. And then we have some commandos, droids over here. I don't know. So it's been fun. I'm having a great time. I actually really like the game quite a bit in terms of like actual gameplay. It's quite a bit of fun. So yeah, the pod racing game. No, let me see if I can find the name of it. Star Wars vehicle vehicle video game. I'm just looking up Star Wars vehicle video game. Let's see. Is it? Yeah, here it is. Star Wars Demolition. Oh my god, this picture is pure nostalgia. Basically, you just it just has a couple of maps, and you just pick a famous vehicle from the Star Wars setting, and you just go nuts trying to kill each other, and it's actually quite a bit of fun. So yeah, Star Wars Demolition is the name of it. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Now that is pod racing. Yeah, although the pod racing game was so good, we also spent way too many hours on that. Like, it's that kind of good where it's like, I know if I played it as an adult, I'd be super disappointed by everything, so I refuse to. You know, as opposed to something like Morrowind, which I actually just picked back up recently, got a bunch of mods for, and will be spending a lot of time playing. Why? Because Morrowind is the best game ever. So anyway, that's pretty much it for my hobby. Let's see. I think it's about, I have one more set of the Commandos once these ones are done, and that is about it. I do have some stuff kind of cooking in the back burner, but we'll talk about that when we get to today's main segment, so bear with me there. Let's see. Now, I thought we could go over to a games played. So, did I play any games this week? Yes, I actually played 2. I played, obviously, Star Wars Legion with my droids for the first time. I got super crushed, but that's expected when you first start playing a game. Especially a game with so many synergies, as Star Wars Legion does, as far as specifically the droids. Like, imagine in Age of Sigmar, if you gave inspiring presence to one unit, the unit that you gave it to could give it to another unit, and then they could give it to another unit. And so you can kind of daisy chain your effects. That's kind of how the droids work, in terms of you have a leader, he distributes orders, and then your cheaper units, it's almost like Tyranids with Synapse, like they then disseminate that ability across the army. And so it's a lot about model placement and that kind of stuff. And it's one of those things you just have to try to learn, or you have to do it to understand what I'm saying. So it's one of those deals. But I got a lot of knowledge out of it, like how things work. I threw my best unit, Count Dooku, up way too early, and he got super killed. And because it turns out he's just an old man. Like, Christopher Lee did not do well with a sniper rifle to the face. So that was that. It was a great time. Very educational. You know, I don't expect much when I'm just starting a new game. And then the other one was actually my Soulbound group on Tuesdays. And that one was incredibly fun. I want to chat about that for just a sec. So we finished our character building. We kind of play in like 2-hour segments. So the first half hour was just some finishing touches, Q&As, and that kind of stuff to make sure we're good to go. But then we started our adventure. We're dropped off in a location in Guran. It's not terribly far from Hammerhall Gyra. And we're basically tasked with figuring out what's going on that's corrupting water coming from this small town over to Hammerhall Gyra. And so we went into the small town. We're just asking questions, kind of getting our feet underneath us when it comes to, like, you know, skill checks and stuff like that. It's been a wonderful time. And then we went underground, underneath the tavern, because the barkeep said they're having trouble with their sewer line getting clogged. They're like, what? It's like a newer town. You're like, this shouldn't be a problem. So we go down there, and we get ambushed by a horde of Skaven. I believe they were just clan rats. To which the Keratin Overlord member of our party fired, like, what is essentially an RPG at them and cleared them all out. And that was super rad. And, you know, that was, in terms of initiative, it got to me and they were all dead. And I was like, cool. You know, I mean, I have Vicar Urian, the Excelsior War Priest, so all I do is thoughts and prayers anyway. So it's like, you know, it's cool, it's cool. You know, I'm glad I got to witness and learn how combat works and that kind of stuff. But then immediately afterwards, we found a gnaw hole. Like, there's actually a gnaw hole under the town. And so we were debating about how to go about this. Some of our party wanted to go back to the town and basically let the guards know, like, hey, you got a knothole down there. And me, and I believe we have 2 Stormcast players, or maybe just 1. I think we have 2. Let me think about that for a hot second. But all 3 of us were just like, no, we don't leave this here, right? My character, obviously Excelsior War Priest, is like, no, we bring the Light of Sigmar wherever we go. We're not leaving this hole open, right? And so, yeah, it's a very corrupting presence, and so we kind of deduced through knowledge checks and that kind of stuff, if we pour Aqua Guaranis, which is the currency of the game, it's also just literally clean healing water from the realm of life. It can cleanse corruption, heal you up, that kind of stuff. If we pour it in there, it'll shut down the gnawhole. And so then we're having a debate about, okay, so why don't we go back and see what our reward is for unclogging the sewer, or do we just dump the stuff in and who cares about how much the reward is? I was definitely on the latter of that, where it's just like, no, I'm not leaving here with this hole open. And we're kind of going back and forth, and I tend to be more quiet because social anxiety and just being awkward. So I don't like interject very much when it comes to collaborative games, that kind of stuff. And finally, I was like, I have this ability on my sheet. Can I do this? And so I sent it over. We're doing Roll20, and it was like a miracle that the Excelsior War Priest has access to, where essentially like a light of a hammer, like a glowing image of a hammer comes down from the heavens and smashes my foes. And so I was like, can I use this on the gnawhole? And the GM was like, absolutely. And so, yeah, essentially, as we're bickering, Vicar, my character, walks up and is like, I cleave thee in the name of Sigmar, and it comes down and closes the gnawhole. And I was like, yes. I felt really cool about that, you know? Had that moment of like stepping back and like, so that was really nice. And then at that point, we had pretty much reached our time for the night, and so had to hop off, kind of cancel or not cancel, but hop off for the night, and we'll come back to it this coming Tuesday. But overall, a very cool start. And so it's very open worldy. We know that there's something going on with Skaven, most likely Clan Pestilence, based on the checks and information that we were able to get. And so now the question is, how do we equip ourselves knowing that Skaven is the problem, right? So I like that quite a bit. But those 2 things are it for me for games played. If you've seen me online, you know that I've been slightly addicted to Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I think that's coming to an end because I kind of achieved all the things I wanted to do in that game. I like unlocking weapons. I like any kind of video game where you get to unlock stuff just by, like, you know, Star Wars Battlefront 2, for example, if you use X rifle enough, then you unlock special features for it, like a scope or something like that. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. So that's about it for me. I'm going to take a pause here because I kind of bled straight from hobby progress into games played, but I'll take a pause here. Let me know what you're working on today, hobby progress for you guys, as well as any cool games that you might have had. And we're going to transition here over to the news. Give me just a hot sec. I'm just going to leave it on this screen and pause here while y'all catch up. And let me look at the chat here. BioFit78, hey buddy. Let's see. It just snowed here in Texas. It is, let me check. Oops, sorry, I just knocked my computer screen around. It was actively snowing about an hour ago, but it seems to have died down now. Yeah, we got a couple of inches in a blizzard just outside of our area, so I'm in to win. Stuck indoors. Let's see. Making sure I didn't miss any questions. Smogtown, hey Doug, always appreciate this on Friday. Oh, you got it, buddy. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. Let's see, the pod racing game. Thank you. Another good Star Wars game was the Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter was so freaking cool. I remember I was a little bit young for it in the sense of, like, I just didn't have the dexterity, but my older brother did, and so I just loved watching him like hunt these marks and that kind of stuff. If you've never tried it, it's basically, I'm gonna call it Star Wars Assassin's Creed, but like way back in the day. Like, you know, before a lot of the complexity and that kind of stuff was added to Assassin's Creed, where you have various tools at your disposal and that kind of stuff. It's very cool. Let's see. Oh, did I paint my own character model? For my Soulbound game? Not yet. I have not been able to find an Excelsior War Priest. Let me see. Let me see what the going rate is on eBay. Excelsior War Priest. Okay, he's not too bad. He's like 18 bucks. I could do that. I could splurge 18 bucks, and I'll probably do a head swap with one of the heads I have here because my guy has hair, and the base War Priest does not. Okay. Let's see. Was just watching your Cities of Sigmar video. Oh, hey, Kenzie's here. Whoa, hey. It has been a bit, Kenzie. Welcome back. Did you paint your own character model? I read that one, sorry. What did you end up building? So for... what did I end up building? Right now on my table, I got Separatist droids for Star Wars Legion. I have Slaves to Darkness for Age of Sigmar and Warcry. And that's about it, honestly. Let's see. 1 Hammer of Sigmar, 1 Anvil of Heldenhammer. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, there are 2 Storm guests in our party. That sounded very New Jersey for a second. In our party. Let's see. Being along for the ride is a completely valid style of play. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know you do like D&D type stuff as well. And that's just honestly, part of it is just I like just listening, you know, absolutely. And if I have something I can offer, then I do, which I basically bake that into my character. He is a quiet, you know, he can be confused with someone who's like too uppity, too, you know, deign to talk to people, that kind of stuff. But in truth, he just listens. And he's just very acutely aware. And when he can do something, boom, he gets it. Joe Mama. Been playing Fallout 76 with my brother and some buddies of mine, making a raider bar on a cliff. Nice. I need to get back into Fallout 76. I took a little bit of a break because I just needed to get some work done for the channel, but I really do like it. Fallout 76 taught me something very important about myself, and that is my brain responds to daily quests or activities or to-dos very well. And so actually there's an app called Habitica, which is like Habitica, where it is it basically makes your life into an RPG video game, and you can set up daily quests and that kind of stuff. So my dailies would be like journal or do the dishes, that kind of stuff. And so it just kind of feels really good to knock those things out, because like I was getting so into Fallout 76, it was like becoming a job every single day. I'm like, oh, I gotta get my dailies in. But now that I've realized that I basically hijacked that to get my life better. It's part of my workout, meditation, that kind of stuff. It's all on my dailies. Gabe is painting the Sloppity Bile Piper. Sorry about that. Wukong is Carriage and Overlords. The gun hauler is such a cool model. I love that little gun hauler. There's something about small little gunboats, like as an idea within games, and I mean like conceptually, like even the Deepkin Shark or the Venom for Drukhari and 40k. Like, I love small glass cannons, you know what I mean? They don't cost a lot, but they can just swing above their weight class and they die super easy. Let's see. How excited are you for the new Vampire Warband? Let's see. I don't think they previewed it in full yet, did they? Someone tell me if I'm wrong. But do you mean like with the rumor or the silhouette at the last one? Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited. Let's see. Finished my Blade Guard Veterans and started on the Gabapalooza. Oh, Gabapalooza is such a fun model. Been playing a lot of D&D. Got a game tonight, had one I played on Tuesday. Nice. Trying out a War-Forged Bard. I don't even know what the heck that is. See, the extent of my knowledge goes to like classic D&D classes, right? Where you have like, I mean, I think Paladin and Ranger are probably the most like divergent that I know. That's about it. So let's see. I channeled my love of virtual Japanese pop stars for that one. It's quite the character. That's awesome. Peter says, hey Doug, how's it going? It's going really well. Just hanging out. We're about to dive into some news here. There's not a whole lot this week, but bear with me. Getting a dedicated hobby room. So I'm setting up my hot wire cutter and airbrush. Oh, that's so cool, man. I'm very happy for you. Remember how it feels when everything is nice and organized and put away. Because once you get buried in projects, it becomes a disaster. Let's see. Currently working on 3,000 points of Sylvaneth. Whoa! Dang, good for you, buddy. Okay. I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to DM a game of Soulbound for a bunch of friends, reading all the battle tomes and Soulbound literature I can get my hands on, and listening to your stuff. Thank you so much, Braun. That's very kind of you. What I will tell you is this. Once you start, DMing or GMing your games, shoot me a message in the comments or something like that. Let me know if there are any questions or kind of stumbling blocks for your players, because I've been doing that a lot with my patrons, where several of them have reached out to me and been like, hey, can you do a video on X, for example, because like the last one, it's coming out on Monday, but it's why would people become soulbound, because he was explaining it to his group and they were like, why would I do that? Keep in mind, even though the game is called Soulbound, you don't have to be soulbound. You can just be a super killer awesome dude, and you just can't access Soulfire as a resource mechanic. That's it. That's everything else functions perfectly normal. So anyway, I did a video. It's going on Monday. Why would you become soulbound? So it's again one of those things where I really want to hone in on what are the barriers, not to entry in terms of like what do you literally need to play, but I mean in terms of like explaining things to folks who maybe aren't familiar with Age of Sigmar as a setting. So that is definitely my thoughts. So yeah. All right, I got caught up there. I'm going to go ahead and check out the news over here on the left. And basically, I just pick a couple of articles that strike me as being incredibly interesting. Here we have a couple. They basically are putting out mini-series together, and that's actually really nice of them. The one that I wanted to point out here is Champions of the Mortal Realms. Explore the Age of Sigmar with 4 tales found in Champions of the Mortal Realms. War Queen by Darius Hinks, Heart of Winter by Nick Horth, The Red Hours by Evan Dicken, and Bone Desert by Robbie McNiven. Now, this is essentially, if you don't know, at one point, Games Workshop came out with a set of like novellas. They've been having them for a while. I think they're on round 2 or 3 or something like that. This is just a compendium of all 4 of them. That's all there is. And honestly, it's cheaper for it, but it is just an ebook, so keep that in mind. If you are looking for a little bit of literature to read, I can recommend this. I read all 4 of them. Let's see. Let me go through the names here again. Yeah, War Queen was awesome. I really did enjoy that one. Heart of Winter, I was a little bit lukewarm on, but I really like Nick Horth. The Red Hours was fantastic. And The Bone Desert is that's a Gotrek novel. As you can see, he's on the picture there. And I didn't appreciate it when I read it. However, by popular demand, I have gone back and listened to the audio drama, the first one that came out with Gotrek and AOS, and with Brian Blessed and that kind of stuff. And I gotta say, I like it more now. I still don't like audio dramas. I don't mind audiobooks. But dramas where there's the clashing of swords and that kind of stuff, it's a lot like audio overload for me. And so, but that one, it went pretty well until the end when Gotrek takes the Master Rune into himself, and it's just Brian Blessed screaming for 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, buddy, reel it in. Shut up. Even though it's like, hey, Games Workshop probably paid $20,000 for that scream. You better listen to every freaking second. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, that was what it was. I honestly, I looked at the book, it had an hour left, and it was just like interviews with Brian Blessed, who, he's a nice guy, but he doesn't know a darn thing about Warhammer, and it's very, very adorable. You know, because he's very professional. He's a cool guy, but they're like, oh yes, Gotrek, he's sort of like a man out of time, and he was around, back in the Bible, it says like the Nephilim and that kind of stuff. And you're just like, buddy, you don't know a darn thing, and I love it. I'm here for it, but you say it so cool. Like, have you ever met somebody who can be so wrong, but they say it in such a cool way? Not a confident way necessarily, but like a cool way. He has a great voice. Which is pretty much, I'm sure, what all of you think of me when I talk about game tactics. So, yeah, I think the next one is... what's next? Is it Ghoul Slayer or is it Git Slayer or whatever I gotta figure that out. But I will continue Restore, and I will do a video on Gotrek at some point. Just kind of recapping some of these things. Honestly, I feel like the events of that first book where he gets dumped into the Mortal Realms could honestly be summarized very shortly, but it's a cool little journey they took us on. So I think that's pretty all there was for the Black Library article. Yep. We'll move along, and we got Blood Bowl. And honestly, I just want to show off some of these models. Like, I love this piece of art. She looks so creepy. And here is the model for it. And it's basically a woman who hates Blood Bowl, who was trapped eternally to play it, which just sounds like the most Nagash torture ever. But she's essentially, I think, like a special hero or something like that. You can bring like a named character. The Blood Bowl Widow. I don't know. So I think it's really funny. There was a few folks saying, they're like, I'm not a fan of the sexist undertones about women who can't like football, but I have not been able to find a single thing about that. Like, as far as like an article or line that seemed inappropriate. And I'm fairly sensitive to those things. Maybe it was just Blood Bowl Widow as a name. I don't know. A little bit odd, but people find reasons to get mad about everything, so I don't know. I think it's a cool looking model. I was trying to think of how else it can be used. Obviously, it's a Banshee, but I don't know about the armor. That's the interesting thing. So yeah, and then lastly is the Forge World article. And honestly, I don't have an interest in any of these models, but I will be perfectly honest with you. I just wanted to pull this up because I don't know what the heck is going on with Forge World, and I just wanted to share that. I just wanted to say that I don't know what the heck is going on. Like, first of all, these models are actually pretty cool, but I would never buy them. And I would never buy them not because of their gross aesthetic. That's all rad. Yes, 100 times yes. But more because this is Horus Heresy stuff. It's in a different scale now. I don't know people who play Heresy specifically. It's a very specific future history kind of game. So that's just a very interesting thing. I'm not quite sure why they're still going with Heresy and exclusive models and different scales and all that kind of stuff. And then they also do support for specialist games like Necromunda. Here are some crazy cat things, which I'm pretty sure were in the Clone Wars Star Wars movie. Let me see if I can find a picture of that. Clone Wars cat monster. Yeah! Okay, guys. Who wore it better? Star Wars cat monster or Necromunda cat monster? You decide. Personally, I'm going to say the Star Wars one because I like the idea that it has 4 eyes. But I'm going to go ahead and call this slightly uncanny. Either way, I do like the color scheme that they both use. I will give a nod to the Forge World one for having the brighter stripes. I think that is pretty cool. So anyway, and someone said Wild Crazy, they would go great in Necromunda games. Absolutely. I know, but look at that Cheshire cat smile. So I like it. Oh yeah, someone said add my Untamed Beast. These would make fantastic alternatives to just having the same lion kit over and over and over again. Okay, let me get that out of the way here. And that's about it for news. I'm going to pause here. I'll just pull that picture up to look cool. And I saw that someone tagged me in something, so give me just a hot sec here. Playing a non-soul-bound human can allow you to become a Stormcast, potentially if you die. That is true. That's a cool idea. I like it. I'm the DM for that game most of the time, taking a break by playing with them for now. I've got the Bard and also controlling a Barbarian to take the load off. Nice, cool. Rouse says, I'm here to learn. So I'm about to learn how to play Warcry. Do you have any tips on how to easily get into the rules? My friend and I tried Catacombs, but we had too many questions. Honestly, most of the questions come, quite frankly, from overthinking it because we're used to more complicated games. It is a very short, simple, streamlined game. What I would say is someone already threw it out there, Dice Chatter. He does battle reports, and he does them exceptionally well. So go ahead. His name is Donnie. Go ahead and check it out. And he can help you there for sure. And he has quite a few. There's also Red Rose Wargaming. Is a YouTube channel that does a lot of Warcry content. And I plan to do more of it too once I can get a group going. I mean, it's me and my buddy Robbie. We're doing our individual campaigns right now, but it's not like a group. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit different. So I like it quite a bit. And Warcry is awesome. It is. It's just awesome. So there's that. Grim One. Hey, Doug. Hey. Finally made a live show. England. All sweet. Currently working on my Lumineth Wardens and started painting my orange Gene Stealer Cult. Nice. Let's see. A lot of votes for the cat monsters. And, and the other ones will work well for Untamed Beasts and stuff. We already covered that. Okay, so those are our main topics. I'm going to leave it open here for just a hot second while you're more than welcome to ask any questions that you would like to. But with that being said, I'm going to start building some models and get into today's main topic of forging your own characters. Sorry for the light of God that just shone upon thee. This hobby light's a little bit much. Also, it makes my skin look like I'm burning up. That's weird. Okay, so I'll give a pause here for people to ask any questions that they have. But what I wanted to talk about today was an idea that I had, and I'm going to make a dedicated video about it for folks who couldn't catch the live stream. But essentially, because we now live in a world where online gaming is pretty much the norm, or at least becoming the norm when it comes to like social interactions and that kind of stuff, I wanted to try something a bit different. See, I'm going to try doing a Soulbound game, or running a Soulbound game as a GM, while actually having the models on my table right here, and we will act it out in real time with three-dimensional stuff. And so essentially what that means, I'm going to have a three-dimensional dungeon here, a model for each of the characters, and not using this camera, it's going to be my higher quality one when I do that, but essentially creating a really cool visual scene and then asking players what they want to do to explore it. And so let me pull up my little bullet points here of stuff I wanted to talk about. Where's it at? Okay. Wants to cover. Yeah. So the way it will work essentially is I'm going to create a series, like a roster of characters. And characters that are built with sorry, my phone was going off. Characters that are built with backstories and everything like that. And when someone wants to join, all they have to do is select a character, almost like you're playing a video game, right? Just choose a character. You'll get their backstory, what weapons they have, that kind of stuff. I'll have a round zero video on my patron account so that, you know, just because I'm starting with patrons, to help get people acclimated to the game and how it works and that kind of stuff. But essentially, that's basically it. We're going to be, you choose a character, I'll drop you in a little one-off adventure, and your job is to navigate it. And so that I think that could be a really cool idea anymore, just because battle reports are a little bit harder to do now if it's not just me playing against myself, I don't know. So that can get a little lame. I understand. People have said that before. Of basically like, do you have any other opponents? Do you have any friends, basically? And the answer is, not in 2021. Because we can't really game anywhere. But that's all right. So yeah, it's the kind of thing I'm excited about. I'll be painting up a whole bunch of terrain, as well as the terrain that we've already done here on the channel. And basically having an opportunity for folks to come along, do a little roleplay game with me, and move some cool models around. And my intention is to go to the nines, like rather than a simple drawing on the table or something like that. You know how like there's a little grid pattern things where people will sketch out like a tavern, that kind of stuff. I'm going to actually like create with models and terrain like every single scene. Soulbound has movement values if you want to use miniatures in a grid and that kind of stuff, which is really nice and helpful. And I think that sounds really, really cool. Let's see. Apex D. Yes, everyone go check out Kenzie's channel, Apex D&D. They have all kinds of audio stuff there. So, yeah, I'm excited about the idea, and basically right now I'm just reaching out to various companies and manufacturers of 3D dungeon terrain to ask if they want to be a sponsor. And then once that comes in, I'll start building and painting it. I'm going to have, like I said, a model for every character. Cubicle 7 actually has a bunch of pre-generated characters, like a Isherin Soulcaster and a Night Quester and that kind of stuff. And so at some point I will grab those up and paint them to a great standard, and those will be our player characters that you can choose from. And it's going to be a series of one-off adventures. So essentially, you'll start at a tavern and you are given a bounty, like a mission. You need to solve X problem, and that's the whole thing. I was actually originally going to do Shadows over Hammerhall because it's kind of a similar idea, right? It's a dungeon crawler that people can just pick up a character and jump into. Obviously they would switch out between adventures. You can do all that, but then I was like, well, first of all, Shadows over Hammerhall is no longer supported, which sucks. Even though it has all the miniatures and stuff like that I could ever want, which is so annoying that they're all in there, and I'm like, I can't get it. Anyway, so there's that. But I was like, well, it'll give me a chance to actually use the Soulbound rules, and that is exciting, actually. So I think that could be really, really cool, especially, obviously the models will more be there as a guide. We're not playing Age of Sigmar, like the full game or anything like that. So it's just going to be a little bit of a guide. That's about it. Question. Spezia, quick question. Hey Doug, are you planning on joining us again for D&D tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Saturday? I think so. I have to check with my wife. Let me double check. I had no idea it was tomorrow. I have no sense of time. Welcome to 2021. I'm so sorry, buddy. I don't have a definitive answer for you. Let me double check. I just totally lost track of my schedule. I apologize. Let's see. Question. Thoughts of a larger Warcry board similar to an AOS battle, but with Warcry rules and multiple win conditions. Ooh. I'll be honest. I think the biggest I would want to go is a 3x3, because I think Warcry really rewards you for densely packed terrain, even though you wouldn't know that based on the terrain cards that they give you. It just looks so much better when there's all kinds of terrain around. And I think if you go any bigger than a 3x3, it becomes very unwieldy. Then you get into like the Necromunda problem, which is like, oh, it only costs $50 to buy this warband, and it's like, well, not really, because you need about $400 worth of terrain on the table, and you're like, oh, that's not what I signed up for. You know, that kind of stuff. I think I mentioned this before, but I ended up just canceling my order for my Warcry books. I have to go find a local store that has them because Games Workshop was took them over a month, and I was just like, I'm done waiting. And, you know, they were super prompt. They have great customer service. They were really prompt about the refund, but it was just like, I'm done. As an American, I demand instant gratification. So there's that. Oh, Wargamer Willie, thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for the live streams, Doug. Always an absolute blast hanging out with you. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. Oh, you had a question here before I missed it. Let's see. A couple questions. Flying Irish question. How will it work for you to select the players? Basically, initially, when I do it, I'm going to start with patrons. Just because they've been supporting me for so long, and they're people who are on board with what the channel is trying to do. So what I'm going to do is basically, hey, whoever's been a patron the longest, you get first choice, and we just kind of go in order like that. Eventually, I'd love to have multiple models so that I can have, you know, multiples of the same character, and so anyone can kind of pick whatever they want, kind of a thing, without worrying about doubling up. But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking right now. Beyond that, random draw, right? Of just like, hey, we'll throw all your names in the pile, we'll pick one, boom, you get to choose first. I mean, keep it simple. Let's see. We're gonna be a really question. I have a chance to pick up Silver Tower for $100 Canadian at my local hobby shop. Good idea, bad idea? What do you think? Ooh, yeah, I tend to agree with Kenzie. It's pretty much worth it just for the models. It's a great deal, especially if you have other uses for them. You know, if you do play a role-playing game, or you are looking to, you know, put those in any kind of army. They really are great models. I love the Cogsmith with a big old shotgun sucker thing on his shoulder. I just love those models. So I would absolutely... Or maybe that's that one. I don't know. I kind of get the models from Shadows over Hammerhall, which has a lot more because they diversified the factions that are in there, compared to Silver Tower, which is all Tzeentch, which is cool, but it just depends on what you want. Let's see. Okay, we have 2 copies. Dioxys and Saboteur. Short-term sniper. Okay, give me just a hot second here. I am just... Okay. So I need 2 of the guys toting crazy grenades. Let's see. Give me just a hot second. I'll be right back to the chat here. I apologize. I'm just making sure I'm not... You know, I have a great group. Of really helpful folks to help me learn how to play Legion. And they don't require WYSIWYG, so what you see and what you get, that kind of thing. But I like it. Let's see. Okay, yes, we need 2 grenade boys. Let's see. DX. Okay. Yeah, okay, here we go. Let's see. I feel so validated hearing someone else doesn't have a sense of time. I have no idea. Yeah, absolutely. It's been rough, honestly. So like when everything first went into lockdown, at the time, I was still going into work because I was in medical profession. We never stopped. And my wife was describing like this sense of like timelessness, like just not being able to come to grips with what time it is and confusion and that kind of stuff. And I was like, I didn't fully comprehend it until we moved to Iowa, and now I'm obviously working full time for you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, my patrons. Thank you everybody who watches and shares these videos. But now that I'm working from home, like now I feel it, right? Now I feel like I have no sense of time on this planet. I'm like, I'm just like, what is it? What's his name? Robin Williams when he comes out of Jumanji. I'm just like, what year is it? That's exactly how I feel anymore. Where are... feel like I am missing some legs. Oh no, I'm not missing legs. He already has the legs. Okay. Crazy me. I was just like, where's his legs at? Not even looking at the fact that it's just like molded to his body. It's right there. Just being legs. Alright. And now I'm looking for a sword. There's one. This is always the hardest part of building models for me, is finding crap on the sprue. It's like every freaking time. That's okay, we can pass on a sword for one of them. And then we need D10. Let's see. I apologize for the silence. Give me just a moment. Okay. We'll throw that there, and we'll do D10 and D4. Okay, so that's enough to build him. He's our grenade guy. Now we need to figure out some arms for our basic bro. Let's see. I'm unsure of what to do. Let's see. Let's see. A lot of Zinch models on the cheap? Absolutely, yeah. For the Silver Tower set? Totally. Question from Kenzie. Red or gray shoes on this Gabo? Doing an Akshi type scheme? I don't know. Depends on the rest of the color scheme, I'd imagine. Elliot, is this Star Wars? It is, yes. These are BX battle droids. Going commando. No, wait. Don't want to do that. I think the black guard I'm painting will be the brightest in the world. I love it. 2 thumbs up over here. Nice. Let's see. Our gaming group has decided to play AOS this year. Being 41 with 2 kids doesn't leave a lot of time for hobby. I have to thank you for all your amazing lore. Oh, buddy, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Yeah, I'd love to do it. I mentioned, I think I mentioned this last stream, that I'm in a weird place right now that this is uncharted territory for me, where it's like, you know, I started the channel being really in love with Age of Sigmar, like the, you know, the big Mighty Battles game, that kind of thing. And anymore, it's like, I just don't have time or opportunity to play those large scale games. But even though I'm kind of like not super hot on the actual miniatures game right now, I've never been more in love with the lore, and so I'm so excited to do stuff that'll kind of focus on that. Like I was talking about earlier, the RPG adventure that I have planned. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That's kind of my main topic for the day, so I apologize if it seems like I drifted off there, but very excited for the opportunity to game with folks. I was going to do a lot of battle reports, and I still intend to. I really do. It's just at this point, if I'm being totally frank, I'm not sure when things are going to let up locally when it comes to restrictions for gaming and that kind of stuff. And to be honest, just not a lot of folks play AOS around here. So it gets quite difficult to source some games, and so it's just kind of been... It's been a learning experience, if I'm honest with you. guy's chucking grenades at people. We have this guy. I think this guy, he just wants a gun. Give the man a gun. Okay, here we go. Let's see. But what I need is an open arm that has nothing in it. Which I'm actually going to steal from the grenade guy. Grenade guy can handle not having an arm. Let's see. Kind of fits because Battlefront 2 is free right now. I played as these commandos. I haven't tried them yet. Basically, for my Battlefront 2 experience, I have been going character class to character class and learning each of them like almost individually. And unlocking all the options for them because that's how I like to play those kinds of games. Like I said earlier, I'm a sucker for any game where if you tell me I can unlock something by using a certain weapon, I'm in like Flynn. So basically I started with the officer class and earned every weapon, every upgrade, everything like that, and then moved on to the heavy, and then what else after that? Officer. And right now I'm doing specialists, and that is a slog. Snipers are not my fave in that game at all. I never had so many games where I did so poorly. Just because I don't have patience. Like, I like to be super aggressive. I like to run in there and just shoot them up, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Star Wars Commando is the best game? Absolutely. I cannot argue that. That was a very refreshing title where it's just like I got to see like, this is a cool universe. There's lots of stuff going on. There's still a lot to explore. Even with something like the Clone Troopers where they are, in theory, very samey by design, you can have these cool little stories. And oh man, the first time you see one of these guys, the roller droids, pop up as a ball, you're like, you kind of crap a brick a little bit. And then you figure it out real fast how to lose or how to win. Either way, you're learning a lesson. Let's see. Renewed my Patreon membership. Oh, thank you so much. That's absolutely so kind of you. Just to give you a heads up, it'll be just a little bit before I can do that because I need terrain and models and all that kind of stuff. But it is something I am so excited for that can't tell you enough. So I'm just going to throw that out there to people. And I will make a big fuss about it when we're ready to go as far as like, getting people to join in and that kind of thing. So honestly, I'm not super worried about it. I'm going to make a few videos that are like, hey, here's how to play. But the character stuff is already made. There's not a whole lot to learn, if I'm honest with you. And really what it's going to be is a video that says, hey, listen, we're doing this for entertainment. So maybe when I say, you enter a bar, you maybe just don't yell, you kill the innkeeper as fast as you can, But that's pretty much my only rules. No big deal. I'm just glad to give you a little support now. Well, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Trandishan and the Wookiees was very interesting in that game. Yeah. Oh man, now you're just flooding me with all kinds of memories. If you guys haven't played Republic Commando, go check it out. It's like, I don't know, it feels dumb to say Halo but better, but that's kind of how I feel about it. You're just like, it's just a more interesting version of a first-person shooter than I was emotionally ready for when it came to a Star Wars title. How about that? I think that's probably a more fair way to put it. But, yeah. As far as my game goes, essentially, so like I said before, I initially started with the place of doing Shadows over Hammerhall. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that because the game's out of print, quite frankly. And I might still pick it up. There's a local store that has it. I might pick it up just for the models, just to have like a little smattering of all different kinds of enemies. Then again, I still have a unit of Blight King, so I don't need any more of those guys. So I'm on the fence. But one thing I can say is I like the format, right? The basic premise of that game is you have to keep going down into the undercity of Hammerhall to be able to find treasure or danger or anything like that. And it's just this weaving catacomb of stuff. And I like that very much. And so I was like, well, how can we adapt it? And so I'm considering doing a hybrid of the two, of like maybe taking elements of the Hammerhall story and narrative format in terms of you're in Hammerhall and you have to go to the sewers and that kind of stuff, and then from there building very personalized dungeons to represent different parts of the city. So that's kind of where my head was at. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and input on that kind of stuff, because it will be my first time GMing, which honestly I'm not super worried about. Like, after watching an inordinate amount of like live plays and that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, I literally do this all the time, which is probably why Vince Ventrella on Warhammer Weekly has been trying to tell me forever that I would really, really like role-playing games. So, I gotta say, the man knew me. He's probably watching this later. Hi, Vince. So yeah, let's see. Need smatterings of enemies, get underworld warbands. Absolutely, and honestly, for some of the heroes, that is absolutely my plan. So like, there are a few different Caradron heroes. I'm absolutely just gonna buy the KO warband, that kind of stuff. For some of the stuff like the Zine Jackalites, it'd be kind of nice to have a whole kit. Then again, yeah, their warband does come with a few different options as well, doesn't it? I don't know. I'll have to take a look. I'll have to take a look at what I want to create. But that is a great point, Morty. And it has certainly been on my mind with some of the enemies that I plan to have people face. Because then there's some kits, like the Skaven one, the models just look incredible. Like, how can you not love the Skaven in there? Same thing with the goblins and Iron Jaws, all this kinds of stuff. Like, their models, their sculpts for Underworlds are just top notch. They're the best. So yeah. Actually, let's take a look at that. Let's do that's a thing we can do together while we're discussing the forging of this narrative. Go to box games, earned worlds. Actually, we're going to do a few things here. We're going to look at a few different things, because we don't have to just fight what's established in the book. We can fight whatever we want. So if we wanted to say, let's see. Okay, so the Daughters of Cain one is probably the best value when it comes to those characters, because I think there's just a normal Cainite lady and then a Hag Queen, which would be these three models essentially, and then I can just get the others for if/when they ever come out, which there is an expansion for Soulbound that has some heroes coming out here pretty soon. So that'll be great for them. Villains, yeah, the Flesh Eater Quartz one is a fantastic one for villains there. Those are the big ones. Honestly, they cut out so many war bands. Like, the boxes exist. They're just in, like, do they have them as a checkable option? Basically, I just want to know. No, not really. Yeah, we got Magor's Fiends. That would be great. Garrick's Reavers, Sepulchral Guard. I have to get the Sepulchral Guard. Come on now. Grimnir. I'm just kind of picking out some of these older ones that I kind of honestly forgot about, if I'm being totally serious, because they don't feature very prominently in AOS the game, and they're no longer listed on Witch Elf. That's what she's called. I forgot about that. But yeah, let's see. Apologies if this is very boring. Please let me know. And we're scrolling, and we're scrolling. Man, why isn't there a City of Sigmar warband yet? Like, for real. Such a bummer. I do kind of like the idea of a Fellwater Troggoth. I will not lie to you. That might be a great dungeon boss. Because I just want an excuse to own these models. I freaking love them. And this might be it. So we got some great Skaven models here. Certainly better than the base clan rats. What's interesting is that I don't think... Let me think for a second. I don't think any of these feature in Soulbound right now because there's the Rune Smiter, the Doom Seeker, and the Battlesmith. So I probably won't grab these. There are plenty of undead in Soulbound. And the Corn Guys. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? But yeah, I think that's a great idea. So we'll check out what's there as far as... let me see. Need my chat. There we go. Look over here on the right side. The hardest model to find for an archetype must be the Trade Pioneer because it can literally be anything. Yes, if I made a Trade Pioneer, I would just kit bash the snot out of something. I don't even know how I'd make that, to be honest with you. But, yeah. Let's see. Silver Tower is an add-a-print board game for AOS. Yep. Did someone ask about it? Let's see. Oh, yeah, sorry, Wolf. Do you have a video review of Silver Tower talking about it more? You always talk about it, and I need to read it. Silver Tower, the book? No, I don't have a singular review on it. The game, yes. I think I talked about it a bit. No, wait, they didn't send me it because I wasn't signed up to receive things at that point. No, I don't think I ever did. What's the book talks about? His favorite Warhammer book? Yeah, so my favorite Warhammer books, just to answer your question, because I know there's some interesting and that kind of stuff, is Soul Wars is great for getting people into the thing. My absolute favorite Warhammer book, as of right now, is Nagash Undying King. Like, straight up. I just absolutely love the story and the characters and the dialogue. Yeah. Godsworn Hunt would have been cool for generic bad guys. Do they not have any more? Oh, they do. Yeah, so it's a lot of their online store decisions make me sigh heavily. But essentially, once the season where a warband for Underworlds is released, they then re-release the same warband, but without cards, like the actual Underworlds cards, but in their faction. So you can still find them on the Slaves to Darkness section in their army for AOS, but not on the Underworlds page, which to me makes absolutely no sense. Because, you know, whether or not you have the cards for them, they are still a playable faction. You don't need to have any faction-specific cards to play these guys. You know, I mean, obviously you need their unit cards, but if GW wanted to, they could make those online free and available. As far as, like, you know, how many wounds they have, inspiring attacks, that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. I don't get that, but you can, if you're looking for models, you're absolutely right. These are fantastic bad guys, you know, just broad term bad guys. And I didn't even think about that. Let's see. Question. Do you think it's possible for AOS 3.0 opens with Archaon breaking the gates of Azir open and Sigmar opening a new chamber to defend the realm? To be honest, I think that that's probably how things are going to end. I mean, honestly, I think, not that the story stagnated. I think they just learned a lot from a marketing and storytelling perspective from 40K, where jumping ahead these nice big leaps between editions allows you to kind of reset the setting. So you're technically moving it forward, even though from point to point, you're still kind of locked in amber, meaning Archaon will kick open the gate of Azir, and so we as players will feel like the story has progressed. The stakes have gone up, but ultimately, it'll just stay like that for a while. You know what I mean? And that's fine, because if you go so fast, all of a sudden, things get really annoying with what characters are actually where. But if you keep it big and vague and open like that, well, then there's room, right? There's wiggle room for a character to be here or there and that kind of stuff. So I am certainly not opposed to it at all. And that is one full squad of BX battle droids. Okay, I got a second box here. Start building those guys out. Let's see. Oh, that's right. I wanted to do this, and I also wanted to look at the Underworlds. Not Underworlds. Oh my gosh, I'm getting myself all twisted now. Warbands from Warcry. What I think would look cool as an enemy. All of the ones that are based on Age of Sigmar armies seem to go away after a time, which really sucks. But it is what it is. So, Scions of the Flame would be super cool in a Hammerhall setting, because there's Hammerhall Akshi and Gyra. So that would be really nice. Maybe that would be a cool thing to do, of having like Scions of the Flame. I'll make some rules for them in the Akshi corridors, and then in Gyra could be something like Nurgle, because that's obviously his jam. Obviously I have my Corvus Cabal, and I just love those guys. Oh, I gotta get him in there. I have a painted Fulmoroid Crusher, and I love him. He is probably one of my favorite models. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I don't see as much potential for these guys, just because they're kind of crazy and out there, but I like them quite a bit. So here we go. Thank you for indulging me in my little chat for sourcing minis for a wild endeavor. Let me throw this off to the side. Hey. Let's see. To be honest, I just want them for AOS anyways. Crap, I'm tempted to get them now. Oh, man. Yes, worrying really how much more can Archaon destroy. I mean, you know, he has the most powerful blessing of the Chaos Gods, which of course is plot armor. It is undefeatable. It is immune to rend. You know, it's ethereal, and it's a 1+ save on mortal wounds and wounds. And Dorgar just insta kills things before Archaon ever actually has to fight, which is something that I actually don't like. Somebody was asking me a question. This is like months ago. They're like, isn't Archaon the coolest? And I was like, no, Dorgar is. His horse is the coolest, because quite frankly, he doesn't do a darn thing. And I like that quite a bit. I want to see Gordrak. Lots of destruction. Okay, quick question. By freak accident, I sold my best friend on Warhammer Fantasy instead of AOS. How do I pull her over to AOS in the long run? If she likes the lore, I always recommend the book City of Secrets. Because it's a very fantasy battles feeling book that is set in the mortal realms. So that's always a thing that I point people towards. In addition to that, what else would I say? Let me think about that for a moment. You know, honestly, don't push her. You know, I guess what I'm trying to say is there are two different settings that appeal to different things for different people. So, you know, if she's happy with one, just let her ride. Take that first sip of nerddom and just let her have it. But I understand what you mean. You know, it's cool. Because that's the thing, is epic, heroic, and epic style fantasy it just isn't for everybody. So if fantasy battles is more her jam, that's cool. But you know, you can obviously make connections and ties and I think a really cool way is, obviously in fantasy battles, not everyone's story has a very clear and concise ending, outside of the end times, of course. But then being able to be like, yeah, and this is a really cool thing that happened to them in the AOS setting, with some of the named characters and that kind of stuff. I think that would be a really cool way to kind of bridge the gap, Let's see. I'm just gonna cut out a whole bunch here, and then we will build these dudes up. Let's see. Let's see. Been marveling at my horribly painted fist of Gork, wishing he smashed more. That's funny. Present how uncharitable Warhammer Fantasy is to certain demographics. That is probably the most diplomatic way of saying that, but yeah, basically. Nothing kills excitement for lore like most of the forums out there that exist. And I don't want to make a sweeping generalization of people who like fantasy battles. It's certainly not true. It's just a very vocal minority, which every game has, I suppose. It's a shame. Let's see. City of Secrets, that's the one. Do you have a video on that book? No, I do not. Sorry. I should, though. I have the book. I was actually just rereading it recently. There's no reason I don't have a video on it, if I'm honest with you. If you're looking for information about it before buying it, way back when it first came out, if you listen to the podcast Garage Hammer, they actually do a great breakdown of the story. If you're just looking for basically the cliff notes, they do a fantastic job. I don't know. That's actually one of the episodes that got me tuned into that podcast in general, and the host is just awesome. Dave Witek, cool guy. I'm actually really close to him now. Just a couple hours drive, like 2-3 hours. So we could get a game in. That'd be rad. I actually found out pretty recently that I'm like in the zone for quite a few of the other content creators for AOS, which is nice because if nothing else, obviously meeting is still a little difficult right now with everything going on, but it does make it so much easier when it comes to trying to coordinate for like a collaboration or something like that when you're even near each other time zone wise. Because like the person I want to do stuff with the most is AOS Coach, because he's like one of my favorite people. But today is tomorrow in Australia, and you're like, oh man, this is just rough to try and coordinate. How complicated is it to schedule and understand time zone differences? Not very, but I can't handle much. So, there is that. 2+ tomes must be renewed. Yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. I definitely fell off track with that once the move started, and then I just kind of got busy. So absolutely, we should do that again. Let's see, here's my squad leader. Boom. He popped in my stream last night as my only viewer. Really cool guy. Oh, that's funny. That's awesome. What is up, all? Hey, Oren. I was going to say, is Doug collecting Necrons, but it's Star Wars droids? Oh, yeah, I guess they do kind of look similar. No Necrons for me. Not my jam, per se. I like their lore, to be honest with you, of Necrons for 40k. They're cool. I just kind of like... I like painting a lot of different things, you know what I mean? And so they in terms of like visual variety, I feel like they don't have quite... It's just not quite what I'm looking for. Berg. which might be blasphemy to some people. I don't know. I apologize if I just deeply offended a Necron player out there, but you know, too bad. I don't know where I was going with that, but you know, too bad. Okay, now because his legs are split like that, he's gonna need just a hot second to dry, so we're gonna give him that. Question, can you show us the box art on those droids? Sure. Yes, and I believe these are from Clone Wars, like the animated series, but there you go. BX series Commando droids. And it's interesting. So if we're talking price point, this box is $30 and it has 2 units in it. If you're not familiar with how Legion works, essentially we have a squad of 2, 4, so it's a squad of 4 guys, and then you can buy an extra one to go with them. And then in addition to that, over here, we have the 2-man thing that I put together last, and that is a sniper squad. So it's literally a guy with a sniper rifle and basically a spotter to go with him. And that's cool. I like that, you know? It's not, well, it's technically a multi-kit in the sense that I could have just put guns on them and that kind of stuff, but yeah. Let's see. Presuming they never make a Sigmar model, what other epic Stormcast units do you think they could release? Stormcast mechas. I would love to see Lightning Geists, which is when a Stormcast kind of loses, I'm going to say loses their cool during reforging. That is something I would like to see. So that would be a little more monstrous side of things. Mark's Neas Calgar. Doug, I just got offered a new job. Oh, congratulations, buddy. We're in lockdown at this moment, so I can't celebrate properly. So I'm here celebrating with you. Oh, buddy, I'm so happy for you. Everybody, that's all just golf clap. Congratulate Mark's Neas Calgar. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's so hard for me to pronounce, Mark's Neas. Very happy for you, buddy. Very, very happy for you. I hope it's someplace that treats you well and that you love it. You should be pumped. Golf clap. Very, very happy. Okay, there was, I feel like I'm missing a dude. Oh, duh. It's probably because I flipped the page. Okay, let's see. Now we are building the beams. Here we go. I like these guys because they're identical. Just crank them out real fast. Let's see what time I got. 11:20. Probably gonna build these guys and then I have to hop off. I have a virtual doctor's appointment here, of course. Nothing serious, just a checkup. But I kind of hate it. I kind of hate doing everything through like what is essentially Zoom. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had to do that, or if you've been, well, I've been staying healthy too, but if you've had to have a awkward conversation through Zoom, you're just like, I kind of wish I was in person. But it is what it is. Let's see. One thing I will say, I know people are not always the biggest fans of the models for Star Wars Legion, but there is something beautiful about how quickly you can build these suckers that I am kind of in love with. You know, that is a value all its own. Telemedicine is a cluster. I had a brief scare with the stomach bug in December. Yeah. Yeah, goddamn it. I'm still here for a couple. Cody, how you doing, buddy? Thank you so much for your always support and just being an awesome person and cheerleader on YouTube. Do you have any questions or topics you want to discuss? We're in, I don't know, we got about maybe 10 minutes left. You choose, buddy. Brandon Trippy. Oh, buddy, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, lunch break is over, so I have to head out. Just wanted to say thank you for all you do and your positivity you bring. You and Rerolling Ones got me seriously into the hobby in 2020. Stay safe. Thank you so much. Yeah, speaking of which, those guys, Rerolling Ones guys, have some battle reports coming out soon that I think sound particularly fun, but I won't ruin the surprise for you. Tired. I'm tired. COVID lockdown has been draining. I get it, buddy. Where are you in the States or are you Canada, UK? I can't remember. I know you've said it before. But anyway, not that it really matters. It's just the restrictions are different everywhere. But I know exactly what you mean. All right. And we're going to start gluing some stuff. Yeah, my day, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to obviously do my doctor's appointment that I talked about. And then in the evening, just record a bunch of videos. I've written up notes for a few topics that I think y'all like. And like I said before, just working with brands and that kind of stuff to try and get some model support. Because honestly, if I could, I would have a model for every single archetype in Soulbound. Obviously having to make my own Trade Pioneer, but we talked about that earlier. I'm trying to think of how I would make one. How would I make a Trade Pioneer? What do you guys think? How would you do that? Honestly, my mind kind of goes to the Rogue Trader things and then just taking out all the sci-fi aspects of them. Because I do like the Rogue Trader models. They are quite nice. Callie, yeah. Is Star Wars Legion's 28mm because they look so small? Actually, they're a bit taller than GW. Let's see. So here is a Chaos Warrior, obviously for scale reference. I'll try to put him here. Actually, let's do this. Try to do something like that so you can see the line on the grid there for comparison's sake. I'll grab this guy. I think he's dry. And this is actually a shorter droid. It's probably a bad example, but they do stand quite a bit. They just the sculpts are a little bit bigger, especially when you get to the clones. Here, that's probably a better example here. Because if I line their feet up, the clone is a little bit more bulky, a little more real scale. He stands up taller, certainly. So yeah, Rogue Traders could be good and not take that much. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Droids are just so skinny. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I wanted to show the clone. I was like, no, they definitely are bigger than GW model. They're taller, at least. But they don't quite feel that way when you're playing droids just because of how slender everything is. Although I will say, I've never had any problems so far with braking and that kind of stuff. It's all gone pretty well. So yeah, I gotta do all that, and then tonight I'll probably end my day by playing some Morrowind. Now that I've got like 1,000 mods into it, I had to figure out how to actually mod the game. I was really having trouble with it. But if you have not played Morrowind, get it, try it with mods. It's an amazing RPG experience, unlike anything else. Made it in time for lunch break lurking. Trade Pioneer, either a Marine Scout or Imperial Guard backpack on a Free Guild handgunner. Oh, that could be great. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of something. You know, it depends on, obviously, Trade Pioneers can be just about any race, so I was thinking of having like a selection, you know what I mean? And honestly, that's kind of why I wish there was some set that came with, you know, a human and a dwarf and that kind of stuff, but there just really isn't. Outside of Lord of the Rings, of course, but that's a different scale, so that would look kind of odd. But yeah. I love Morrowind. Are you playing the graphics overhauled? Yes, I actually just before the stream started, it just booted up. or I just downloaded and got it all set up with the graphics overhaul. So it's quite good. What are we building, chaps? We are building BX droids for Star Wars Legion. And I've got a unit done there, and then I have... How many more do I have? I think I have 3 left. Right? Because, yeah, it's 2... One is an extra guy, and one is the scout for the sniper. So, I have 3 guys left. And I think that's where I might call it today. Some 40k players in Lubbock see me in there playing AOS and want to learn how to play. Thinking of teaching one of the war clans and just having him use his 40k orcs. That's fantastic. I mean, honestly, that is a fantastic idea. Because one, there's no reason not to. At all. But, yeah, no, what a great way to get people in and excited about orcs. And honestly, 40k orc players I have yet to meet one who is not super in love with Iron Jaws as a model, right? Like, if they just like the game aspect of stuff, obviously that might be different, but I've never seen a true orc player for 40k not get excited for the Iron Jaws models because they're so rad. Anyway, let's see. No, please don't call. I have to go back to renovating my kitchen. I love it. Any tips for unclogging or keeping that Citadel plastic stick clean? Fire, yeah. Kenzie nailed it. You see this little label here that says fire and danger. Just go ahead and just pull that crap off. There you go. Now just stick a lighter right there, and I mean, I'm joking, but honestly, if you take a little like candle lighter and hold it right about the center, it will actually burn off all the junk that's in there, and I've never had it go back or had a problem. Just be very careful. You know, don't be a dingus. that's my my rule for you. And it's a proven scientific fact that if you take off the warning label, whatever it's warning you about can't hurt you. So isn't that awesome? Little life hack for you there. Much like if you ever see a sign that says do not walk on grass, if you walk on the grass up to it and just kick the sign down, you can walk on the grass. You know, it's things like that that make life so much more easy for everybody. You know, people are always worried about like, how do I adult? And that's how you do it. Oh man. Hey Doug, I know it's a slightly smaller scale, but the D&D starter box comes with a human and an elf and a dwarf. Okay. I might take a look to see how drastic the difference is, because we are going to be playing on like most likely terrain and that kind of stuff that is more geared towards D&D stuff, so everything kind of will be a little bit off scale wise, but enough to communicate the story. It'd be close enough, I mean. Anyway. Alright friends, I'm going to go ahead and hop off for the... Let's see. Hey Mr. Duck, I know you're not sure about doing D&D lore videos. Will you do an update vid on your next D&D session? Oh, absolutely, I can do that. I can do that, absolutely. What I was going to do, in case you're curious, for the D&D, or for my Soulbound, well, there's D&D and then I play Soulbound as well. For the D&D stuff, I was just going to have that more or less be for me for fun. For the Soulbound stuff, I do have a series kind of planned to kind of recap stuff that's happened. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will catch you next time. Happy wargaming and adventuring.